It's important when switching to first assess the switchboard for some suitable circuits that can be switched. The relays of the CT200 users are normally open 20 amp rated relays. Circuits must be 20 amp or less in order to be switched. There is a maximum of 3 relays per unit, which means 3 circuits that can be switched per unit. Examples of circuits that can be switched are lighting, power, pool pumps, air conditioners if suitably rated, and electric hot water systems. It is important to check before switching lighting if there is any hardwired smoke detectors on the lighting circuit to be switched. If there are hardwired smoke detectors, it is important not to switch lighting, as this will also switch off the hardwired smoke detectors. It's important to note now that if switching air conditioning, it is very important to ensure that the air conditioning unit does not fall back onto a standby setting when switched off and on, again at a circuit level. You must always check the function of an air conditioning unit before switching. The owner must be home for this to take place. Once a suitable circuit has been identified and the owner agrees to have it switched, you can proceed. I'll now demonstrate switching with an internal bypass switch. Now I must stress that it must be a suitably rated circuit breaker or larger than the circuit breaker feeding the circuit, and an isolation switch can also be used for this purpose. As you can see, I have run in 1 twin active for this purposes, which will come from the relay in the CT200 unit. You will also need a similar sized cable as the circuit being switched. To start, remove the load from the load side of the breaker being switched and connect the red building wire with the red of the twin active. You can insert this into the load side of the circuit breaker of the circuit you are switching. One of these, the twin red, will feed the relay line side, and this active we're going to use to feed the line side of the bypass switch. I can't stress how important enough it is to feed the bypass switch from the same load side of the circuit being switched to avoid a dual feed. You can now connect the white from the twin active, the load together, and connect them into the top of the bypass switch. As you can see, this bypass switch is installed in parallel to the carbonTRACK relay. This is very important. Now I'll demonstrate switching with a circuit breaker internal bypass switch. So as you can see, we've already connected up the bypass switch internally into the switchboard unit. So all we have to do in the CT200 side unit is connect the relay cables. To connect the twin active to a relay, you must first select any of the relays, 20 amp normally open, and just take note of which relay you connect into, as it will become important later in the setting up online switching. I've now finished connecting up the twin active to relay. I'll take note that it's relay number 3 for later on. As I mentioned earlier, it does not matter which relay you connect into as long as you take note of which relay it is. For demonstration purposes, I've connected into relay 3, and I will set that up in the commissioning stage.
So to complete the installation progress for circuit level switching, you must ensure before you leave site that you have tested appropriately. You must leave the bypass in auto position and make sure that manual switching is enabled in the dashboard. You have now learned the bulk of the installation. In the next video, you will learn to install aerial extensions and external antennas.